Project 2.7.3 ISP Medium Publication, the two-player Pong game. This project aims to recreate a two-player version of the classical arcade game Pong with LED matrices attached to the MAX7219 chip connected to an Arduino right here. The two players in this game can control the paddles to move the ball back and forth through turning these potentiometers right here, and try to prevent the ball from hitting your side of the LED matrix screen. There's also a reset button in this game in which to reset the score. Now let's look at how the code of this project works. First, I included the LED control library, which makes the MAX7219 LED matrices easier to control. Then I defined some of the hardware pin configurations for all the parts and how they should be connected to the Arduino. Then I created two LED control objects for both the top and bottom display. The reason I did this is because the LED matrix screen is divided into two 4 8x8 matrix daisy-chained modules. And then there are some game constant. These are the variables that will not change no matter what, such as the screen height, the paddle height, the ball delay, or which you could manipulate this number in order to change the speed at which the ball travels. And then you have the score display time, which essentially controls how long the score will be displayed after someone scores. And then you have the winning score, in which case I set to 9. And then you have the game variables. These are the variables that will change as the player interacts with the game, such as the ball's position, which is controlled by a X and Y coordinate and the X and Y direction to indicate where the ball should travel next. And then you have the left player score and the right player score, which will be displayed through a function later on. And then you have the left paddle and right paddle vertical position, which indicates the starting position of the two paddles. Then you have some more constant integers, which define the hardware wiring for the two potentiometers, which the player uses to control the two paddles, and the reset button to reset the game. Over here, in order to save some RAM, I chose to store the fonts for the numbers 0 to 9 inside program memory or flash memory in order to save some space. Then we have the setup function, which essentially initializes the LED displays or wakes them up, and then sets the brightness. And then this is for clearing anything that might be still left on display before starting the game. And then you have the main loop function of the game. So firstly, you have the handle reset button, which basically checks if the reset button is pressed, and if it is, the function resets all game variables to a starting value and essentially clears this display and restarts the game. Then you have the check if game over button, which checks if the game is over, and if it is, you light up all the LED, which is a function that I made to show the simple game over effect of lighting up all LEDs from left to right. And then you have the update paddles, which reads the potentiometers using analog read, and then maps the values to a valid paddle position on the vertical axis so the paddle stays within screen bounds. Next, you have the update ball function, which essentially updates the ball's position based on the ball direction X and ball direction Y variables to indicate where the ball will go to next. And then you have the check collision, which checks if the ball's coordinates line up with any of the sides on the top and bottom, which would cause the ball direction Y to inverse in order to show the bouncing effect of bouncing up and bouncing down. And then you have the paddle, and then to also check the paddle collisions, which reverses the ball direction X, and then randomizes if whether the ball would go up or down, in order to give the game in order to make the game more closely to the actual arcade game. And then you have and then if the ball is missed, or in which case the ball's coordinates line up with the X direction of the paddles. This would trigger the score point function and add a point to that player. Next, now that all the variables are updated, you would redraw the position of the paddle and the ball in order to show that they actually moved. That's it. Thank you for listening.